Negotiators say talks between Russia and a European security organization over Russian troops massed at the border with Ukraine ended on Thursday with no breakthrough. The talks with the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe were the third diplomatic effort this week to resolve the impasse, all of which have ended without any resolution. After the talks, Russia's permanent representative to the OSCE said the talks were a disappointment, and he expected more substantial discussions. Western diplomats have been urging Russia to de-escalate the situation at the border, where it has amassed equipment and an estimated 100,000 troops, seemingly poised to invade Ukraine. Russia insists the troops are there for its own defense. A Russia-led military bloc began pulling its troops out of Kazakhstan on Thursday after a week-long deployment during the worst bout of unrest in the Central Asian nation's post-Soviet history. The Kazakh president asked for assistance from the Collective Security Treaty Organization last week after initially peaceful protests triggered by a sharp increase in fuel prices turned violent in many big cities. CSTO troops were seen at a departure ceremony in Almaty on Thursday, where they stood with their respective flags. The Russian group was the most numerous. The Kazakh authorities announced the completion of what they called an anti-terrorist operation in most of the country on Wednesday, although they have yet to declare its biggest city, Almaty, fully secure. The authorities have detained almost 10,000 people over the unrest in which some protesters attacked security forces, captured and torched government buildings, and looted shops. The European Union will impose sanctions on Mali in line with measures already taken by a 15-country bloc of West African states. This according to EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell on Thursday. The Economic Community of West African States agreed to restrictions against Mali on Sunday, including the suspension of financial transactions over the interim authorities' failure to hold democratic elections next month, as agreed following a 2020 military coup. Borrell said the EU move was also a response to the arrival of private military contractors from Russia, whose members are mostly ex-service personnel. France has set thousands of troops fighting Islamist militants in the Sahel region and in December joined 15 other countries, mostly European states, operating in Mali and condemning the possible arrival of mercenaries. In December, the 27-nation EU imposed sanctions on the Russian military contractors and set up a new sanctions regime for Mali with a view to targeting the junta. Activists in Sudan said Thursday that Sudanese security forces fired live ammunition and tear gas to disperse protesters in the capital of Khartoum, as thousands took to the streets against a coup that has plunged the country into grinding deadlock. A senior police officer and a protester were killed, according to authorities and a medical group. The demonstrations in Khartoum and elsewhere in Sudan are the latest in relentless protests since the military on October 25th ousted the civilian-led government of Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. The military takeover has upended Sudan's transition to democratic rule after 3 decades of repression and international isolation under autocratic President Omar al-Bashir. The African nation has been on a fragile path to democracy since the popular uprising forced the military to remove al-Bashir and his Islamist government in April of 2019. Britain's Buckingham Palace said on Thursday that Prince Andrew's honorary military titles and royal patronages have been returned to Queen Elizabeth II with her approval and agreement. More than 150 Navy and Army veterans had written to the Queen asking her to strip Andrew of all of his military ranks and titles after a U.S. judge said on Wednesday that a sex assault lawsuit against Andrew could go ahead. A U.S. district judge on Wednesday refused to dismiss the civil case against Andrew by an American woman, Virginia Giuffre, who alleges the royal sexually abused her when she was 17 years old.